Welcome to Shelby Stitcher. I watched my video from yesterday about how to use the template that I showed how to cut, and I used my shorter tripod, and I realized that you really couldn't see much at all of that. So I'm going to remake that video, and hopefully this will be a lot more helpful. This is a piece of fabric that I found yesterday, and it's been folded in half and folded very neatly in my black and white scraps box. And it's hard to think about what I'm going to do and what I'm saying at the same time. But you can see that the selvage is still on here. So I'm going to line this up. This side's a little bit crooked, but we don't need every 1/8 of an inch of this. So I'm going to cut this selvage off and throw that away immediately. And I'm using a Mark Be Gone pen. This erases with water, and if I truly needed it to erase completely, I would spritz some water on my fabric as soon as I got done sewing it, or even before I sewed it. So what I'm going to do is line the template up along this edge completely, all the way to the very edge. That's why I cut a nice straight edge. And I'm going to hold my finger down on the template and mark this corner, or this end that has a 45-degree angle. Same with this one up here. And since I am using fabric that has not been cut out of anything, or nothing has been cut out of that fabric yet, I know that it's pristine. There's no little cutout pieces on the bottom layer and that type of thing. And I just sketch around the whole thing. And to get the most out of the fabric, I line the straight edge up with the top, so there's no waste up there. And then on this one, I slide it down along that same blue marker line going diagonally. And you can see that when you cut out two pieces, you actually get a new straight edge. This is the most prudent and official, and what I'm trying to say is frugal way to cut out your fabric, because you have very little waste when you're finished. And whenever you're using a marker, you don't want to press down hard enough to drag the fabric, because that will distort what you're doing. Can you see now I have a set of 2 there and a set of 2 here? I would just continue going down, lining this up so that the blue marker line would be shared by both templates. I put one this way and then one this way, and so on down this whole length of fabric, which appears to be width of fabric. I almost always use scraps, so I am very much stressing the importance of using your scraps wisely and not just cutting a piece haphazardly. Now I'm going to pull this away because I mentioned that my mat had a couple divots in it, and there's one right there. So I need to make sure I'm not dragging the fabric out of place. And I'm just going to set that over to the side. So now you can see I have 2 templates marked on here. And without shifting the fabric at all, I'm going to line this up because they share this blue line in the middle. And just because I know there's a divot somewhere, I'm going to go ahead and do that again. And as I pull this away, I would not finish pulling it if I felt any resistance. Now I'm going to get my smaller ruler, my 6.5 inch ruler. And let me go ahead and mention these little pocket things. These are things that you would put on your phone to hold on to your phone better. I keep them locked, and it just makes it a lot easier to pick up my ruler. Not necessarily to place it on my fabric, but just to pick it up off the table. So again, that slipped a little, but it got back in place. Go ahead and take these off, and I always throw them away right away. And yes, I got that right in the line. Now this smaller little notch is a little more difficult to get perfectly cut. But again, this is a 90-degree angle. And if I place it, if you can see on this end, that my ruler is pointing right at the point here. That's the angle I want up here. So I just place that so that that's in the middle. Again, I pull off my pieces before I move my ruler in case there was a little thread or two that were not cooperating. And here I have 2 more templates cut out. And then I'll just slide this one down carefully. And I've mentioned several times the tip I have of taking an old mat that has served its time and deserved to be, thrown away or given another purpose. I just cut out the parts that are decent on it with a box cutting knife on top of a cutting board, and then snapping it the rest of the way. And this can be used to elongate the life of your main mat. You can see from the ridges in here, this is where I cut most of the time. And once in a while I'll flip my whole mat around because it's a big mat and I don't want to buy another one because, as you know, my motto is use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. I don't like to buy a lot of the new fancy things because I feel like I have everything I need to piece and quilt the way I like. I've been doing this for almost 35 years and I started with just the basics, and even the dining room table that was used for everything from family meals to homeschooling to my crafting, and so I'm used to not having every little thing. But the little things do add some ease into our life. So here we go again. There's 4 templates cut out, and I'll just repeat that process down that whole piece of fabric and hopefully have a lot more kites to add to my string blocks. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.